if Irene ever can't speak with dead, the only person she gets.
Hello and welcome to Jarviskjir Mind Over Matter. I took a sec because I confused myself on which buttons to press. These guys, these friends that I love, oh, they cause me grievances. Anyway, welcome to the show. We've just spent like 10 minutes doing like a podcast before we even started, because we just started talking about interesting stuff. So we're nice and ready for a good day of D&D. Hope all of you are as well. Just the occasional reminder that this show is actually supported by Patreon. If you don't support by Patreon or give any help to the show in general, please consider doing so that we can keep doing it.
Wait, what's that? If you support this show on Patreon, you get to hear more of me and Ian and even Ollie and occasionally Zoe. What?
Yep.
Yes.
Funny you should mention that, Neil. That is indeed the case. And you can get it by going to www.patreon.com/OlliRad. I don't know if that's the
It's
URL.
Ollie Smith Art, I think, my thingy. But it's funny because the current Monday campaign is really good. TBH. And if you like D&D, you'll like it. But hopefully if you like D&D, you'll also like this one. Last week, we had internet trouble. More or less, your journey towards Narashiro is continuing. There's not really a whole lot to discuss. There was a fight against some wild harpies where we saw Oshun taking a unique opinion and place and stance among adventurers and travelers, choosing to let the harpies live at the end of the fight, which is very interesting. And then you guys went into an abandoned farmhouse, and Oshun made some moldy bread. Don't worry, it's meant to be. It's meant to be. It's good.
And as a result of that, we brought corn flour so that Zoe could make some corn.
You actually did. I could kind of tell. I could feel the nostalgia like emanating from that bit. But it's really good, right? You know, Oshun is kind of this mothering spirit, and it's like, okay, we've got a little camp. I'm gonna make some bread. It's so good. It's so nice. This session is gonna continue off with you guys on the road. First of all, I gotta ask if there's anything you guys want to discuss or talk about, or anything else you wanted to do in the barn before you left, before we continue.
Is there anything you want to do in the barn, Oshun?
My shit!
Obviously, that's not canon.
Oh.
I like how that's become a thing. Ever since I occasionally have to step in and say, don't worry, that's not canon. Now everyone does it.
It's a safe way to meme.
It is. You know, you get the goofiness, and then you get the seriousness. And one day the ship will be serious, I'm sure. Seems like nothing, huh? Alright, back on the Beetle. Back on the road again. The road you all are traveling on is not the main one towards Narashiro. It's a little more overgrown, it's a little more wild. Traveling through parts of the fungal forest around Narashiro that have been converted to farmland, right? But the majority of the farms are abandoned, as we mentioned before, and not all of this is farmland either. There's areas where either the fungal underbrush is so thick and wild where you just could never claim it, or just the soil isn't relevant, or just no one's building here, right? You do occasionally see other people, usually just usurper elf merchants who aren't on beetles or anything, right? They're just walking, or just travelers, right? Wearing big old shawls and moving through the little slush of snow that's still cast, as it is still the cold season. Y'all...
He's doing his best.
I'm just not looking at anything. What is of interest, after another day of travel, the city of Narashiro would start to appear in the distance. due to the inherent nature of the Underrealm and the aether light that sprinkles down from above, in clear conditions you can see very far. It's not like you got to worry about like the curvature of the earth or anything like that. And Narashiro is a city that stands out like an obelisk on the horizon. It looks like you're walking towards a mountain, though on some points of the mountain you can clearly see the spires of decadent buildings, and also with factories. There is very much a smog that kind of emanates from some areas of Narashiro, but it mostly it hangs downwards like a babbling hot spring, rather than the smokestacks of most factories. Now, to Ashal and Tumulus, you haven't been this way before, but to Oshun, I mean, your homeland is now here before you. That might be a nice thing. That's kind of up to you. It might be, or it might be a bad thing, TBH.
She would definitely be called to pay a visit to the main house of worship, and maybe one or two local houses of worship to little residences and stuff.
Yeah, when you're there, for sure. You got a while still to go.
Yeah.
But I could imagine, mostly because this is something I can imagine Zoe doing. Ocean starting to form a plan of, okay, when we get there, we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, and we're going to do this, and... right?
Act.
It's mostly travel, TBH. Not much is going on. Your giant server beetle
just takes slices of cornbread and just...
Yeah, you got nice little fresh snacks that no one really wants to eat other than Oshun. So more to Oshun. On the road, you come across a body. Laid out in the thin... There's like a centimeter of snow, right? The kind of level where it's almost transparent. And there is a body. There is a body of a Usurper Elf laying there on the road. Like, not off to the side, not like someone's tried to dispose of a body in a ditch or anything. Just there in the road. And it currently looks like some wild creatures are eating it. There's a small group of tiny, tiny dinosaurs. Nipping at the flesh, biting.
But, Ollie, I have an important question. Are they dinosaurs like Jurassic Park, or are they accurate dinosaurs? Feathers. By which I mean they have feathers.
Yeah. The dinosaurs in Jarviskjir have feathers. Yeah, or fur sometimes. Because why not? But no, they would have little feathered fantails. In fact, maybe that's what they're called. Maybe they're called fantails, because that's a great name. And they are biting. They're having a hard time getting through the armor this guy is wearing, which is full black leather. Like, very decorated, but decorated black. You know what I mean? Not necessarily stealthy, but black leather. There is also a larger creature feeding on the corpse, and both the little dinosaurs and the large creature are feeding together. It looks like a giant bronze-toned cockroach in some ways, and its mouth parts are kind of at the middle of this person's body. There are multiple mandibles that are grinding away like a trash compactor.
Oh my god, it has a radula!
Yes.
Yes, we know what that is.
Biology!
Radula is like, you know snails and slugs? They basically have a chainsaw tongue.
Yes! No, it has a radula. You're right. Yeah, that's pretty... It's a radula, but it's more like tiny little claws that are like rotating, grinding things up.
Snails are just funny to feel on your arm because they're like, ooh, sweat.
Do you guys you gonna do anything about this, or are you gonna
hop down?
Okay.
And like, just go over. Is gonna like try and gently brush the little dinosaurs away with her
you're gonna need an animal handling roll first. Try to brush some little dinosaurs away from a tasty meal.
I just imagine that they're like chickens, but angry.
They're smaller than chickens.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sharp.
And like, I just imagine her pushing on the head of this beetle, just like.
That's for laughing, but something else is going to happen if you try that.
It's just me thinking. That's actually a really good animal handling roll.
Yay!
The little dinosaurs immediately scurry, right? Just gone, just into the bushes. Where they don't leave, they just kind of like watch. You end up seeing their like faces pop out of the bushes later on.
That's adorable or terrifying.
Why not both?
The larger creature, yeah, it does look like it might start grinding away at your fingers for a moment with its rotating mouth parts. And you would actually feel that. You know, you're talking about, oh, feeling a giant snail, nom 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 nom. You actually would kind of feel that, but it never bites you. If you know what I mean. Like, you feel the rotating parts, but it never bites you exactly. You can give me.
Get you with its retula.
You can give me
like investigate my hand.
I was gonna say, yeah, give me an investigation check to see if you worked out what's going on.
Nausicaa, the Valley of the Wind moments where you're like, yes, let it investigate you with its horrible insect parts.
Give me an investigation check. You actually
bite you.
You do coax it away from the body, though as it steps away, it will grip on the steel-tipped boot of the elf, only one of them, and will slop it off the guy's foot. Oshun, correct me if I'm wrong, but you kind of wear jewelry on your hands. You have that kind of like thing that goes like this. The kind of it's gone. It ate it.
Oh, okay. Oh. I'm sure I can make that work.
But
asymmetry is all in the rage now, and she says in the rage.
But yeah, you do coax it away. Admittedly, it only goes like 5 feet away and just starts chewing away on the boot. And it makes a very uncomfortable noise. It really does sound like metal stuck in a trash compactor. Like,
I throw it some cornbread.
One of its antennae, which are very long and lopey, will kind of brush against it, and then it will pay it no heed.
Can it do this now? Can it do the slug thing where its eye like retracts back into its body? It's like, no.
It doesn't want it. It's happy with the boot.
Boot's full of smells, things to investigate.
A metal feeder of some kind.
When did you get down here?
I have been here the whole time.
Socks about your sleeve. Yeah, Oshun will get down, not lift the body, because Oshun knows about spines. Basically just sort of like put her hand, she has a Gandalf moment maybe, like touching the head, the face, and like, yeah, doing a little pat.
Did you want to do a medicine check to see how this individual died? Do you want to check what's on the body? What are you doing here?
Kind of hoping he was still alive.
He's very much dead.
Medicine check to see how dead he is.
How dead are you? I did put effort into medicine because I thought that's something that Oshun would know.
Yeah. This individual is dead, right? You would check, you would see and make sure. It looks like they didn't die all that long ago. It's hard to tell exactly what they died from, but you can work out that they were fairly exhausted when they died. They may have just collapsed and then, like, just sort of ended TBH, maybe a heart attack or something. But when you examine their belongings, the armor they're wearing is fairly protective. They have a short sword with an elaborate... Well, you know, it's a fairly elaborate scabbard. And they have on their person, in like a breast pocket, a package wrapped in several layers of paper.
I will open...
Inside the package are 3 smaller packages that are clearly some kind of powder. You could open one up and it is a sparkling, slightly luminescent, pinkish powder with flecks of gold and blue.
So this is nothing like the mushrooms that Globface was cultivating in the very first.
No, different color glow. The Globface, by the way, very rude. It doesn't look like it's night lanterns right away, although if it was processed to such a degree to become a powder, you wouldn't really know. It looks like they were coming from Narashiro too, right? They died walking away from the city.
Yeah.
Tumulus would hobble over. He's like taking his time to get down from the beetle. And he looks at like, he sees like Oshun investigating. And he looks at Ashal, looks at Oshun, and he says, "Can you check their memories? If it's fresh."
That is an excellent question. Can I do so, Ollie?
You can try. It would be easier to eat the brain whole.
He's dead.
Oh, right. He needs food.
It would basically be an
It's a
intelligence check as far as I
circle.
can work out to try and see what you get from his brain.
Yeah, I mean, Ashal would sort of hesitate for a moment and then would say, "If you let me eat the brain, I may be able to."
Sorry, I saw a
Don't.
Lord of the Rings quote,
Don't.
and I was like, no, okay.
We had a big nerd out before this session where we're all quoting Lord of the Rings at each other.
I felt out-nerded in that moment. It's very rare that happens to me. The last time it happened was when I got to uni and everyone else knew how to play Magic the Gathering. And I was like, oof.
That's nothing I've ever encountered before.
It was an experience.
Please, death is death, and I'll return him to his final resting place amongst nature. But more to the point, how this person came to be lying here is what I am concerned about, not their sleep.
Their memories might shed some light on that, yes. And Ashal will come down from floating and kneel down, clearly unaccustomed to actually having to use their limbs, and we'll lift the head up and be as gentle and respectful as possible, but then it's like,
as possible, as then the tentacles wrap around you, hear the scoring of
I was gonna say, if you didn't like the sound that the rust beetle over there is making, the sound of a mind flayer's beak carving away at a skull is very uncomfortable. It is carving and twisting a perfect circle through the skull, and then there's a... Probably not all at once, admittedly, but
and it's got that last little bit with the straw where there's like barely...
you get the
anything
tentacles in
left.
there, little morsels. I think... well, I mean, Ashal, here's a question. When you're ready. You haven't eaten a brain for over a month. would once it gets within eatable range, would it just be like just devoured, or would it be savored, or would it be remorseful?
It certainly wouldn't be savored. I think it would be sort of, there would be like, it would begin as quite trying to be remorseful and reverent, and then like as they started, they would just be like sort of thing, as they like remembered how hungry they were for a proper brain.
Yeah, well, exactly, right. It's kind of the nature of the Ebamari. You can survive off sipping memories for a long time, but when the brain is in front of you,
when the brain hits.
When the brain hits, go ahead and give me just a flat intelligence check to see if you can any memories or information in general. 20 is real fucking good.
Ian.
Real good idea, y'all, to look into the memories. You actually get quite a lot of information from this guy, especially their last moments. Their last moments, of course, being most vivid, for there was plenty of adrenaline working through the brain. They were not killed by a heart attack, they were killed by lizard folk. They were running from them for a moment. And in those last moments, they actually saw two other individuals up in the canopy of the mushrooms, and he tried to get them to help. They are another Usurper Elf, although the garb is not like a Usurper Elf from Narashiro. It's hides, it's fungal threads that are untreated, it's all of that very raw, very natural stuff. And then there's another entity covered in fur, humanoid. You have no basis on what they are. But they don't help him. They look down at him, they don't help him. Two lizard folk chase them down. The Underrealm lizard folk are... I mean, lizard folk in general, pretty brutal. What might be surprising is... He definitely thought they were going to eat him.
That is the surprising thing, actually.
They clearly
lizard
didn't.
folk killed him, it didn't eat him.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, by extension, how much would I know about lizard folk? Are they common in the Underrealm, or...
Go and give me a history check. Or nature, if it's better. They're on the line.
Yeah.
Lizard folk are a known entity, but they're not exactly common. There are tribes of them that live down here in the Underrealm. You wouldn't know how different they are from the lizard folk on the surface, right? But lizard folk on the surface in general are kind of maybe crocodilian, they live in the jungles. This is a very similar environment. They're a little more, like, dinosaur-y, right? The ones that you saw chasing were kind of teal in color. And they have, you know, they were using that, like, throwing spear thing. I think it's called an Ikwa, where you can throw a spear really, really far and really, really strong with it. Yeah, it is...
Strap.
Yeah, it is surprising that they didn't eat them because they're cannibals. The lizard folk are known as one of those creatures where you're unlikely to encounter them because they're one of the sort of, you know, the people who live amongst the nature in such a degree that they rarely do you see them. But I think as an outsider yourself, you'd probably know that, yeah, if you were actually on an even playing field, you could probably negotiate with them. They're not, you know, they eat people sometimes. You eat people sometimes. You know, you can't judge. You're eating someone right now. You're still chewing them. Usually, if a lizard folk is going to be attacking, like it's a bit weird for them to be attacking a Usurper Elf on a main road. He definitely thought he was safe. He definitely also... he was very confident. This Usurper Elf is very young. He's only around 100. And he'd recently just joined a group of people with a similar mentality called the Redeemers. And he felt very proud in that. They sent him out with these packages. Actually going to meet someone else in Kavanari going all the way down there, but not with a beetle or anything like that, which is kind of surprising to go to make this whole trek on their own. But it was kind of like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to prove that I can do it. The Redeemers.
Is it common for people to walk these roads?
We've passed a few walking merchants, so
People
not
walk any road
rare.
anywhere, but merchants will usually. I mean, if you can afford a beetle, you buy a beetle or rent one, right? Or another kind of mount, because there are other mounts are available. But it is unwise to be a lone individual traveling the roads. The ones that you've seen have usually looked like they could handle themselves, right? They either look like mages, or you could see the couple of swords like strapped under their cloak or something. It's not very wise to be out on these roads on your own.
And final bit of potential exposition, do I recognise the powder in the package that Oshun?
That's an Arcana check.
I suspected it might be. Oh, that was so near. That's still good.
That's a 19, is really good. Yes, this is Aether Dust. The stars above you in the roof cavern are made of Aether, a particularly magical crystal that glows upon its light that feeds the entire ecosystem of the Underrealm. It's also highly potent in magic, and in some circles ground into a dust and inhaled, where it can give you a glimpse of that magic. You would know it for its purely academic purpose. It allows you to basically... Well, it counts as a single casting of the spell Detect Magic. Right? You can inhale it, or in your case, I guess, just swallow it. You don't have a nose anymore. And you can see magic for a bit. Of course, amongst the youths, it's a popular party drug, because the Underrealm is saturated with magic. You're going to see a lot when you take it. It's also very dangerous, you would imagine, though. Aether crystals are known for one core thing: being volatile, being highly explosive. The dust...
How do I know that?
The dust is no means different. And surely very dangerous.
So, as Charles would straighten back up, just float a little bit off the ground again, clearly glad to be off their feet. And
You
we'll...
have feet? I always just imagined little squigglers.
He has feet, but like, they ain't made for walking anymore.
They're
Withered.
the softest feet.
I was thinking more like withered.
No, they're soft.
Yeah.
Baby feet.
And Ashal will, after a moment's pause, say, "This man was attacked by those lizard kin that are around."
Did a train just go by?
You guys have been fools taking the road. The train's right there.
It's just beetles. All the
It's
down.
just tied together. It's the great stag neck quote from Hollow Knight.
Oh,
2 lizardkin. He was watched from that mushroom by another elf. Although an elf in wild equipment. Not something I would associate with the city. And a large furred humanoid? I do not know if it was intelligent.
I just had
He
a
called
thought.
to them.
Sorry to interrupt. The undercommon word is definitely not humanoid. Y'all don't know
Elfoid.
humans.
Elfoid.
Yeah.
good God.
Elfoid.
Elfoid, yeah.
Given the language was basically
Elfoid.
created by the Usurper Elves, it would definitely be like elf-like or something. I don't know,
Yeah.
but I just had a thought hearing that, being like, wait a minute.
That's a valid point, yeah.
Yeah.
The dead elf called to those in the mushroom for help, and they ignored him. I do not know what that means. I do not know much, but this was part of a group called the Redeemers. He seemed to be trying to prove himself, carrying this aether dust to Kavanari.
The question, I suppose, one of many, is what do we do with what's on him? Do we return him complete to the earth? Or do we take this strange package with us?
This... This is a magical drug.
Are you sure? Smell it.
He was delivering it. There would be no meaning in burying him with it. It is not even his, I suspect.
It would seem nice. Do not allow him to fully fail his final task.
Yeah, Oshun will hand off the little package. And, that is a good kitty!
You're gonna give the magic drugs to the sorcerer.
Yep.
No way this can go wrong, so I now have an aether crystal and 3 aether dusts. I can start blowing shit up!
You
Yeah,
can,
I hate
like,
to say,
put
but
it
you are
together
our
in an
walking
aether
bomb.
burrito. Oshun will scoop him up gently and return him to...
It kind of, I mean, I'll be honest, you don't really have many options other than yeet. It's stone. Are all around.
No, the insects. I'm sure.
Oh, you'll just let them eat.
They'll eat him.
Yeah, they
They'll
will.
return him to the cycle.
Yeah.
It's just the side of the road that Oshun is pausing about. So I think Oshun would say, "One moment, please," and take a few steps beyond the mushroom and place him down, hopefully amongst a little circle of dinosaurs.
You coax the. You're like, come over, get your din-dins for the little dinosaurs.
I think she would then come back out, pick up the beetle, and just put it back, like, next to the bod.
That's an animal handling roll. The other one who wants to pick up a giant beetle with a trash compactor mouth. That's on you.
I want to pick up the beetle.
Is.
You gonna let me pick up the beetle, have its little legs go?
You pick up the beetle. It's not happy about it. It makes horrible noises. I mean, this.
I was not meant to be.
This thing, it was like the size of Tumulus.
Goops on you. It's defense goops sprays.
Well, I imagine like its shell would just go.
Is it a flying beetle?
It's a beetle.
Not all the
Right.
beetles
It's a
in the
cockroach.
Underrealm have wings anymore. Yours doesn't.
Oh, every.
Although some cockroaches do fly, just to freak you
I was
out.
thinking more of a stag beetle.
No,
I always
this is a
thought
cockroach.
more of stag beetles. What?
Yeah.
You just picked
I
up a
don't want
cockroach.
to
Well
play
done.
this anymore. I thought I was in a world of sparkling, glistening, like metallic stag beetles, and like I thought that
I mean, you
our
are. This one
ride
just isn't.
was
Yeah,
like a
your
little
ride's a big
beetle.
Our ride
This
is a
one's a nasty trash compactor cockroach that, yeah, it doesn't.
In that case, it wouldn't have a radula. It would have that fucking awful thing, that maw, that praying manti have? I can't stand praying manti.
You had to pose to remember what they
has
were.
a radula.
Yeah, this one does.
Within the...
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I hate praying manti. The only thing good about praying manti is when they try to walk and they're like...
What about when they, when the female praying mantises kill the males after sex? What about Yas Queen? Come on, like,
Yeah, but
we respect
like,
that.
tarantulas do that. And
Yas
tarantulas
Queen!
are much cooler.
Yeah.
Tarantulas don't always do that.
No, but you know what tarantulas do? The males drum. Like,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, spider drumming is badass.
They're like, please don't eat me. Please don't eat me. Please don't eat me.
acceptable.
This does sound very familiar to my life.
This is the kind of day that we're having, okay?
It's the kind of day that you're having. I don't want to be lumped in on this. You can heft the cockroach. It will not be happy. It does kind of try and bite at you, but you wouldn't be holding it face towards your body, so it doesn't really do anything. And when it realizes you're dropping it on its food, it will hiss at you and bare its antennae and all that kind of thing, but it won't.
Oshun is thinking in her head, I love all creatures, I love all creatures, I love all creatures.
It's like oozing, and it has, and as you drop it, it spits out the rest of the boot. As Ashal said, it ate all the metal components and just left the leather. It's like on the ground.
Weird.
And then goes to start eating this guy's sword and belt and all of those things.
Oshun is going to come back and just like have a little bit of a, and then like, but you guys, like, she's going to assume didn't see anything. She's just like, excellent. Shall we carry on? Bugs.
You say, getting back on your bug.
Yeah, but this is a cute bug.
Yeah.
This one can go thought.
Your giant, you have a giant beetle the size of an elephant with a palanquin on it that eats morning dew. It's like the softest creature in the world.
The best bug. Gonna get out a brush my beetle.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine when you're resting, you do. You gotta keep, you bought your equipment for keeping Oppa nice and clean and happy.
Exactly.
Okay. The rest of your journey towards Narashiro is going to be uneventful. The looming mountain of towers and factories grows ever closer. You pass some of the small satellite communities around, which mostly exist to pool together the farming community's resources. Most of them kind of arranged like the spokes of a wheel. And then you get closer to the city of Narashiro itself. Now here's the question. Narashiro is a vertical city, right? It's a vertical city, and different layers of it are different districts. What district do you want to enter the city at, given your desires and what you want to do within the city? Let me give you a quick rundown. At the top is the nobility. Right. What do you expect? Below that is middle class and a lot of merchantry districts that serve the upper class. Below that is actually the church, the church's core district. Then there is the factories. Below the factories are the farms. Below the farms are the lower class districts. And even further below that are areas that are ruins and the bog slums and areas that, yeah, people live there, but you're almost not part of the rest of the city at that point.
Didn't you forget the ruin district at the very top level?
That's true. If you were to look up at Narashiro as it gets more to a point, you can see the roof and you can see above Narashiro, built onto the ceiling of the giant cavern that you're in, are these tattered remains of what would have once been a very large, very decadent part of the city, almost still swirling with cloud as if a storm were present there. It casts long shadows, and that part of the city, even if it was intact, it wouldn't have met the point at the bottom. At the top, right? But you're right, there is a missing part of this puzzle.
Does the storm call to me?
Yeah, I feel like Charles would be kind of fascinated by that. Maybe want to get a closer look. I mean, right now you're at ground level, which is you're on the ground, ha. But like right now you're at the very, very base level, which means you're, you know, if you were to enter the city at this level, you would be entering the lower class district. You wouldn't be entering the bog slums and stuff, which is below even further. But if you got to like the noble district at the top, you could get a really good look, or a telescope.
That's it. That's all I got.
As Oshun is the local, what are you thinking? Where would you like to go when you first enter the city? As a local, you're probably going to have an easy time getting in mostly anywhere. Maybe the noble district would be hard, just given the company you have.
Well, I know she'd be called to go straight to the main church, but she probably wouldn't take the main way there. She'd probably just wind her way through her favorite places. Just small places like businesses people have, like bookshops and stuff that she's just seen grow.
Sure.
She's not here to like do the work that she usually does, so she wouldn't go around the lower districts and explore the caverns and stuff. So she'd probably be like, well, the thing that I'll do is say hello at the church and then set us up for an evening and do what it is that we're supposed to be doing.
We're investigating Spiderkin in the
Yes,
under the
about the
city.
Spiderkin.
Yes, you there is a
So
disappearance
we
of
are
Spiderkin,
there.
which is what you're investigating. But you want to basically, your first port of call would be heading towards the church district, the holy district, I think is honestly what it would be called.
She'd probably pick up a book or something on her way. She's like not rushing to do her
No, of course.
duty, to see her sisters in faith. She'd just like bring them around and say, this is an excellent bakery. I know this
We
family.
both like glance at each other, but don't interrupt.
There's this bookshop that's very good. And she, greets some people. Where would you like to make home base? Would you like to be on any particular district of the city? I know that the second tier is very beautiful. The first, obviously, is very elite, exclusive. Yes, but every layer has its charms.
I do not know the city the way you do, but
Well,
I
tumulus.
I would prefer somewhere a bit quieter, away from prying eyes. I am uncomfortable in too much company.
Would you like to come with me and visit the church of our city? It's quite beautiful. I'll be
Yes.
stopping there to greet my sisters.
I would like that very much.
Excellent.
I am not fond of religion, but I fear being separated from you might lead to awkward questioning.
I understand. Religion can be its own foible. Yes, so
Okay.
I guess we've tarried long enough.
Okay, let me describe Narashiro as you enter it. Oshun very much being the one to wander and show you little sights. But you can't avoid some aspects. Narashiro is the city of the Usurper Elves. Sometimes you might, they might refer to themselves as Drow or Dark Elves. This culture of dark, satin-skinned, spider-loving elves. When you enter, you always enter a marketplace. Every entry point in every city is designed to take advantage of the flow of travel. You're hit by the rich smells of very strongly spiced curries. You can hear people calling out in Undercommon. You can hear bards singing their songs. This is the kind of city where you can't go far without trying to have something sold to you. Plenty of tea rooms, plenty of little bookshops and things like that. And it being a vertical city, it's very dense. Very tightly decorated. Lots and lots of dark corners. You would be able to take paths where you can bring your beetle all through. But of course you wouldn't be able to take some of your favorite routes. And Oshun, you might not even fit in some of your favorite routes anymore, being twice the size you used to be. You know, like when you can't get back in your old favorite shirt because you've eaten too many ice creams recently. The slow ambling through the city shows probably some of its better and kinder and gentler aspects. Little pursuits, little bookshops, little, you know, art murals painted on the side of walls, things like that. A place where if you look up, you can see this beautiful display. You can see all the way up to the top of the city and the looming ethereal storm that now hangs above it. But you'll be going somewhere much more pleasant. The Holy District. The Holy District is built in... The districts above it almost make a natural cave, right? The large buildings overhang, and you have the gargoyle-tipped edges of their structures that form this dome. And within this dome, hundreds of churches have been built to the Usurper Queen Ivrith. And other smaller minor dominations of the faith, if they are not heretical. Everything in this district is built an ivory white, in contrast to the very dark tones of the rest of the city. And the majority of it is a plaza, a very large decorated plaza with spots for gentle meditation and worship and little shrines. And then this huge gargantuan palace of a church. Gigantic stained glass windows that they aren't meant to be seen from this side. You can't really work out exactly what they're seeing. Spiderweb patterns built into the tile work that makes up the roofs. Awkward jutting spires as they continue to build more and more into these structures while taking the best use of the caves around. And like I said, there are smaller structures in this district as well, but it's mostly one massive church. You see a whole bunch of priestesses who, when they realize who's traveling through the city, will give you a bit of a wide berth, either out of respect or disrespect. The majority of people here who are priests and priestesses are wearing ivory robes, although a good number also wear a very deep kind of forest green, representing the two sort of equal parts of the Usurper Queen's faith. Those who worship Ifrit, the Usurper Queen, and those who worship Ivrith, the Serpent Goddess. Two avatars, essentially, of the same individual. do you want to head into the palace church and get to talking to people, or do you want to maybe sort out finding accommodation here for the long while? Keep your beetle in the stables? What's the plan? The Holy District is... Pretty much every district of the city is self-sufficient, right? You could live your entire 900-year-old life as a usurper elf in just this part of the city, and a huge number of people do. What are you feeling?
It's always so bright in this area of the city. Somehow it just doesn't mesh with me, if that makes any sense. It always feels so stark, and as if you smell and your nose will start bleeding. But that's how this area is fashioned, and it's beautiful in its own way. Would you like to come straight in, or we can try and find some accommodation? I'm sure we can be accommodated here.
A place to stable the beetle seems like a good start.
Yeah.
Okay. When heading to the official stables of the palace church, you may not have necessarily remembered it this way, Oshun, because you never had a mount before. I mean, as far as I know, anyway.
Not like that.
But it's a lot more militant. There are armored beetles. There are giant tarantulas that are trained as mounts that are being wrangled and kept in their little enclosures, little glass domes where they can live until they're necessary.
Like, one just goes straight.
Yeah, like you would be walking by and one would like on the wall next to you on the glass, right?
I love tarantulas, but it doesn't mean that they have to move all the time.
Or be the size of a horse. When you meet one of the stable masters here, and there's a huge amount of them, they would be... They are definitely curious. She would look over the lot of you. She's wearing white ivory stained leather. Even the stable master wearing a good deal of religious garb. A kind of spider pattern chain tiara is the best way to describe the headpiece she's wearing. And she is definitely confused, but too polite to say anything. But she does inform you that there is, of course, a price of silver for using our stables for an extended time. For such a large, mighty steed.
Do I remember her name?
Ooh. If you spent any time here, probably. But here's the question. Does she remember you in the state you are in now, or not?
I feel like it was like it was like, you know those weird stories about children who are divine, and they're like, she's been like this since she was a child. She speaks to, like the birds or whatever. I'm thinking about all these weird,
No, I know exactly what you mean.
Indian sort of cults that I've heard about, and yeah, it would basically just be a progression up until this point. So I think she would have been known and she would be recognizable, but this is a big step in, like, it was like this and then it went poof.
Yeah. So, you would recognize her. You'd remember her. Her name is Rinaru. She... You can recognize, and this is something you're going to recognize a lot in Narashiro, her piecing together the story parts in her head and eventually recognizing you properly. Did you always have the name Oshun, or did you take that name after you ascended? I know, good question, right?
That is a good question. I think maybe it was like everything else. It just was gathering. Like there are a few names she's known by, and she's also known by Oshun.
That makes sense. I could imagine a lot of people before their ascension choosing a new name and probably going by it before their ascension once they knew they were going to ascend.
She didn't do the ascension until this point, but on her like path towards it, these things would have been like gathered, and she would have like made something of a presence of herself. Like,
she's
just occurred to me. She's like, just occurred to me that she's like Jesus, you know, as a child turning up at the fucking church and being like, "Hello, Baba. Hello, Father. I just came to this church to be in the house of my father."
I'm not gonna say that Oshun is pregnant Spider Jesus, but
I mean, I've already played the daughter of one goddess figure, so quote unquote.
Quote daughter mother.
So yeah, Renaru would recognize you after a little while, and would actually,
especially because she's wearing a mask.
Yeah. It's a lot of elements. But here's the thing, Oshun, that you did not ascend the way that everyone else ascends. You are, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, an aberration in the numbers, in the statistics. You took a very different form. And I think the way we described it before is that even those who are on your side are troubled by that in some ways, right? Oh, clearly this is a blessing of Itherith, but it's different and weird. We don't want it over here. Go over there. Go away, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And Renaru will kind of step up, like, kind of while you're arranging things. And will step as close to your side as she can. And will say in a hushed tone in Elvish, "Are you sure it's safe for you to be here? The last thing I heard about the tale of Oshun is that you were banished. Things have been extremely rough in the Holy City since you left."
I understand. Thank you so much for your concern, Renaru. Here's your silver. Thank you for doing your duty by me, even after everything. I just knew it is appropriate to make my civil greetings to our sisters and do what I can by the grace of Itherith.
She nods. She'll take the 5 silver and will kind of...
5 silver?
Oh yeah, it's 5 silver a day.
Alright.
He's a big boy.
He is. He's so good.
But
Have you
it's...
got any money?
I have money.
Actually, you paid for the palanquin. I don't know you have any money.
That's a good point. You might have run out of money.
Fair. Maybe I was confusing my games.
You probably still have enough silver to pay 5 silver right now. You probably can pay 5 silver.
Hmm.
My laptop's like, what do I do again?
Renaru will nod and understand and not push the issue. But as is always the case, the stable hind is genuinely a kind soul. Despite the dual whips that she wields.
Yeah.
Okay, good to pay 5 silver?
We will say yes.
I'll do
But it
it.
can come out of mine.
I'll delete it from your inventory. Plus a little DM tax, of course.
It's just blank right now.
Oh, you have a ton of silver. You have loads of silver. Because you converted a lot of your money to silver.
This is my character page currently.
All right, I took 5 from it. You can afford to stay here for quite a while. Of course, if you make more money while you're in the city, that would be great. Now that that's sorted and Oppa has a nice little home here in the Holy City.
I forgot. I keep forgetting his name.
You named him Oppa.
I know, it's great.
The next question is what's next? Renaru did say that things have changed since you last left, and you've been gone over a year or so, right? Like 2-3 years or something. Hard to tell. Time tends to blur together in the Underrealm. Permanent lockdown. So maybe you want to look into that? What do you think? Oh, I deleted the chat for a second there.
We just need to fade in another face in like the foreground of Neil's screen. Yeah. Head towards the main structure.
Okay. It's...
We're getting into a thing here because neither Tumulus nor Ashal have any idea that Oshun might actually be in danger here. Because that woman was speaking in Elven.
You can give me insight checks if you give a shit.
You can have a nibble on my brain when I don't realize.
Yeah, I don't think as Charlotte gives
would be paying attention.
So much as Oshun about Oshun, as much as he's worried that this might get them into shit. I'll do it.
You didn't need a good roll. You needed like above an 8 to tell that.
That tarantula that's like.
That Renaru was clearly concerned about something. That's all you get, admittedly. Who knows? Maybe they were concerned that there's not the right type of feed for the tarantulas. Who knows? But
Ashal is on extra high alert just because that's Ashal's default response to any set possibility of danger.
What's Ashal's tentacles doing?
Oh, they're scanning.
They're
scanning the horizon.
I love
Keep
how
your tentacles
Ashal's
peeled.
super high alert nails him a 9 insight.
Doesn't mean he's good at it.
Yeah. That's what anxiety is, right?
I feel like this is actually a really good place for us to take a little breaky brew.
I'm gonna make a hot chocolate.
I might make a hot chocolate. I won't. I'm too lazy. I'm like, I have hot chocolate, but it's a process to make a hot chocolate. Process that I can't be asked with. But we'll be back in a couple of minutes. Hope you wanna stay for more in a bit when we go explore the grand church. And who
Hopefully
knows?
not get executed on site.
Yeah, you might get a little bit stabbed. All right.
But Oshun, probably not us.
Okay, so Oshun, the 8-foot-tall ascendant usurper elf, waltzes into the palace church. Bear in mind that most dark elves are like 5 foot or under. Right? It's a very noticeable sight. Now, your actual companions probably aren't as noticed as much as you.
Right, everyone, get behind my tummy.
Exactly. An 8-foot-tall pregnant woman waltzes into the church. The inside, the main chamber of the palace is, first of all, a grand meeting room with stairs that head down. There are a pair of archways that lead into the main hall where sermons would be displayed with such power for the entire city. It probably has enough space to have, you know, tens of thousands of people. Like, imagine the Pope's little plaza where everyone goes, Pope! You know, it's that spot, but for Dark Elves.
The non-mobile Pope-mobile.
Yes! With gigantic church organ-like pipes that send the words of the holy all throughout the city, and that will actually be something you can slightly hear. There is currently someone praying. And all the sounds of people praying in this chamber, because there's not currently a sermon or anything on, does just echo through the palace. This chamber itself being a sort of meeting room, you can see the other floors above. They have like walkways look down. That's where a lot of the priestesses are talking and hanging out. Now, if you can't guess already, the atmosphere of the church of the Usurper Queen is one of tension. And not just because Oshun walked in. It always is. This is a religion where the priestesses are always trying to get on top, where the quiet conversations are paramount to scheming, where most priestesses have a samurai or someone else as a bodyguard, right? It's very common. It's not necessarily the place where a fight could break out at any moment. Everyone's too smart to actually let it get to a fight. But it's definitely the sort of place where everyone is scheming against each other at every moment. And for those who recognize Oshun, that tension might be higher, but also a lot of people don't recognize you. You do see a couple of other Driders. Oshun does not look like other Driders. The other Drider priestesses have the torso of as they were as a Usurper Elf, and their lower body is that of a gigantic spider, which takes many forms. The ones who are here are usually still wearing priestess garb, although some of them are a little bit more ready to fight at any moment's notice, more taking the path of a paladin or a warrior, right? And in very much a you can't sit with us way, the ones that you see use pathways specially designed for the Driders who have ascended to scuttle out of sight. They see Oshun, they know Oshun's story, and they leave. I don't know if you're going to find a kind ear here, or one that cares about the plight of the Spiderkin the same way as you. But, what would you like to do?
I'd like to find the head of the order and anyone who Oshun came up with adjacent, because they took the main avenues and she took what she wouldn't. It's not the direct ear of Ivrith, but it was definitely a clear path that she's always followed, and it wasn't within the schools and the order and stuff.
Can you give me a religion check real quick? This will be as you start talking to people, as you start going around the hall, looking for individuals and what they have to say about this.
I'm just gonna reload Roll20.
Yep, no rush.
I love it when I look straight into a white screen and I'm like, yes.
Loading.
Maybe I could just roll an actual dice, a real dice. Yay!
Huzzah!
Huzzah! Huzzah! For someone whose primary function is sort of religious, she hasn't got very good religion.
Well, here's the thing, right? You took different paths to every other priestess here. You didn't take the core path. Not even taking the core path of the Serpent Goddess, a different church to the side of this one. The Serpent Goddess religion is not as primary. But something that you actually are probably thinking that you actually might have a better time talking to them as you're speaking. something that sort of comes up as you're talking, as you go to talk to the head of the order. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen for several reasons. One, who are you? That doesn't matter. Two, there is no head of the order. There is currently no high priestess.
Oops.
Was there a head?
There was a high priestess. There used to be a high priestess. 1 second. The high priestess used to be a red-headed woman by the name of Chelian Gore. Chelian Gore. You would even maybe go to say, "Hey, can I talk with Chelian?" And people would just laugh, like, "Chelian was butchered by the devil in gold over a year ago."
They literally go.
Yeah, that is the attitude of the other priestesses you're talking to, because you're looking like a fool here. And they kind of like the idea of being able to talk down to an ascended. There is currently no high priestess, although some people would say, do you mean the Daimao? Do you mean Kato? And there is mention of that. You also would know that there was an individual who used to, while Chelian Gore used to be the high priestess, there was also a high priestess who was a step above her, the Mad Priestess, who became the Shogun. No sign of her either. Yeah, the fact that there's no current high priestess is curious. What you're starting to pick up upon is, yeah, the church was fractured for a while and is starting to come back together. It seems stable here. As stable as the place ever was. But the fact that there's no high priestess, I mean, maybe that's a good thing? You don't really know how to think of it. But you're not gonna really get much of an ear here or much respect. You might get more respect amongst the serpent goddess. But the main church of Ivrith is very much a religion of usurper elf superiority and selfishness in many ways. And there's not really any purpose right now in helping you. And I don't even think you would actually start broaching why you're here, because to the wrong priestess's ears, it's a bad time. It's a bad thing to give too much information out.
I think she would be a bit flawed that Chelian is gone. And just say, in that case, please bring me to Kore, and if there's ever anything that you need, don't hesitate to request it of me.
Did you mean to Kato?
To Kato. I wrote it wrong.
If you say you want to go to Kato, it's like there is the sort of, there's another scoff. It's like, High Paladin Kato does not spend her time here. She is the Daimao. She is operating a war against the surface. She can no longer commit herself to sermons.
They reside in the... What was that building again? What was the building again that they are in?
Sorry, I must.
I don't. Which one? Which building do you refer to? I don't know.
Who is in? Who? The priestess.
Yeah. So
Priestesses right now.
Kato is in.
Kato is probably not here.
No longer in.
Well, yeah, Commander Kato seems to be the head of Narashiro. The Daimao is, in many ways, meant to be the cultural head of Narashiro and Usurper Elf culture. So, of course, they're religious, right? In many ways, they are, again, above the High Priest. That said, that also means actually getting an audience with them is pretty difficult unless you're of worth to them. it might be a process you could start if it's something you're really interested in.
Things certainly have changed.
Oh, I just realized there's been a dice on your head for like ages. That's funny.
No one to inform that I'm returned to a post. Well, as I said before, if you're ever in need, please call upon me. Grace of Ivrith with you.
We are sure if there is ever any need of your exact talents, Oshun, that we will find a way to send a message to you.
And she would head back out.
I guess they'll call you if they need someone with manners.
Yeah, like, to be fair.
Just like walks backwards, like. Well, certainly things have changed in my home since I traveled below for my ascension. I hope you enjoyed the architecture of an historic place.
Those priestesses could give my people a lesson in sneering down at others.
Well, when one has very little, as often people turn to the cloth, they often project their lacking onto others as best to face it head on, often punish themselves with it and each other. I suppose it has become somewhat of a hotbed without the instruction of Chelion. I have been away. I was not always welcome, and I suppose now I am banished for my path to Ivrith. But the path has always been clear, and since it has been covered in some detritus of the woods, does not mean that it is not still beneath my feet. They are very large. It's easy to find.
Beneath your feet, that might be where we best find clues of the Spider King. Those that are rejected are not seen by others, and as a result, often see more because those above them do not feel the need to hide things.
That is an excellent point, my friend. Well, I must confess, my instinct is to say my greeting to our sister religion. But now I feel wrong-footed. It would be discourteous of me not to make my presence known, and yet it is discourteous for me to be here as I am.
Faith is something that exists between you and your God, no matter how others who worship the same may judge you. My people would not see me now, but my God does still.
Thank you very much, my friend. Well, if you want to go ahead to lodgings, there is a very nice inn on this level. Or one very near to the entrance to the level below, I think, may be more comfortable. I will briefly, if everything is as changed in our sister church as it is in this one, make my presence known and come straight to you. If you guys want to split up, or you can come to the snake church, it's going to be much of the same, unless Ollie's like, surprise, they're all snakes now!
Astral would exchange, would sort of look at Tumulus, clearly torn between, like, not wanting to be without the protection that Oshun ostensibly provides in this city, but also wanting to get out of this area of temples and such like.
It's very bright. It's like have you ever been in a white city? It's got the sun shining on it, and you can't look at anything because you're like, it's reflecting off the walls and the floor.
Okay. Who's you all coming with, or are you gonna go hang out with the beetle?
We can secure bookings at this other inn and transfer the beetle to somewhere less expensive and more amenable to your presence.
Yes, at least the doorways are forgiving in this floor. And Oshun will go, ha 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 ha.
Alright.
To silence.
So the...
Yeah, like a Charlotte and Tumulus, like, not a twitch.
The beetle would have laughed.
So you two are gonna go arrange that.
Direction.
And Oshun... Exactly, right. Oshun,
Are we going to go get a room together?
We'll worry about that later. Oshun!
Yeah.
You head towards the main palace of the Serpent Church. You pass a very definite barrier in the air. It's something that you would have done so many times you didn't even think about it before until you haven't done it for so time. When you actually get close to the church itself, as if walking through the film of a bubble. Yeah. And then can grow closer to the Serpent Church itself. A lot more softer shapes.
I think Oshun would sneeze.
The Serpent Church itself, again, softer shapes, darker colors, connected to the palace itself, but also not. It's less spiry. It's more low. When you enter it, it's physically warmer. They keep it warm here. There is a there is a place for sermons, but instead of a big chamber where you're sitting at one end and someone is talking at the other, it's intended for the preacher to be in the middle. A big ring around with chairs and benches. Almost more like an amphitheater, actually. And the place where you would enter would be above all of that. And currently not actually even presenting anything is a Lamia. While the Usurper Queen's faith, the Ascended become Driders, half elf, half spider. Those who worship the Serpent Goddess, if they are to ascend, become a Lamia, half elf, half snake. They have long, muscular, serpent lower bodies. This is a religion of protection, fertility, and family. So, yeah, every single Lamia is also a MILF, TBH. Easiest way to say it, but it is true. One of them, so the person in the middle right now, would immediately perk up upon seeing Oshun, clearly with a sign of recognition. She is a Lamia. Her serpent scales are white, but a little bit more of a glossy white than the matte white that a lot of the Usurper Queen colors use. and her hair is actually green. In contrast, it's almost backwards to how a lot of the other priestesses here are, because their color is green instead of white. But her hair is a dyed green. Lots of big hair kind of tied into a kind of messy tumbling bun. The kind of bun where like it wants to explode out in any moment. Hair to rival Oshun's, honestly, if it was down. And she will, with great speed, sliver up the pews towards you. And then kind of...
It's unsettling.
And then, yeah, they can be as kind as you want. They're still snake people. And she will perch on the end of her tail, making her very, very tall. Kind of up to eye level with you, actually.
Can she do that thing that cobras do when they get really high? They do like...
Yeah! Yeah, like 100%. This is the thing with Driders and with the Ascended in general. They end up acting like the animals they're taking the shape of. And she will say with a slightly too wide-mouthed smile, "I have heard the legends of Oshun many a time, and you walk into my church as pregnant as you left."
Hail, half-sister. I confess it is quite nice to come across someone in my home city that acts as though I am home. I've missed a great much during my ascension. And the systems have changed in a way that I can't begin to catch up on in one day. Is it much changed with you?
Our church is much of the same. Since the previous Daimao died in a fireball, protection services are exceedingly important. There are more who come to our church every single day, sinking the kind bosom of the serpent goddess. She may do that a little bit. TBH, she might punctuate that. You can leave that one to your imagination. She's not wearing much. So in many ways...
You're a snake. You have your warm rock. You have your lamp.
You get it.
Just sort of like... Would they greet each other with anything? Do they do the clasp?
I think there might. I think there's a hug. I think there would be a hug, but you're hugging a snake person. It's one of those things where she does wrap around you, and it's warm. She's been basking on the podium, so yeah, it would be quite pleasant. And in that embrace, because it's a lot. So here's the thing: Usurper Elves don't hug very often, but they live very long lives.
Elves don't sleep instinctively.
So a Usurper Elf hug amongst people who actually want to hug probably lasts a long time, like 5 minutes. There, our church has grown in power. I think that's even more reason why those in the White Palace continue to pout and hiss and bare their fangs.
Do you sense any power vacuum that's sprung up in this great absence?
Oh yes, you missed the war. Everyone was fighting amongst each other. We barricaded ourselves and enjoyed a little bit of carnage. But all kinds of priestesses wanted to head to the top. There was a moment when people rioted in the streets. High Paladin Kato has managed to restore a little bit of balance. There is someone who is truly faithful to Ithrith in command of the whole city. The priesthood is not going to cause too much more trouble as long as they continue sending soldiers to the surface and get to do their holy judgment to the elves who live up there. It keeps them busy at the very least. while we focus on protecting those who really matter down here.
Goodness, your charge has become a heavy one.
Yes. If you told me this several centuries ago, I would have scarcely believed it. But then, I thought Lathura Dorneb would have ruled this city until the grave. Well, I suppose she did.
I like this one.
Do I know her name?
Would you... Because here's the thing, right? You, as an Ascended, you kind of have aspects of both churches, right? That's, like, kind of intentional. But you didn't, like, go up the rungs here. But you might know her. Go ahead and give me...
When, as she pleased.
Give me a...
Get out of here, glasses.
Wisdom check. Just a flat one.
Buttons.
With a 20, yes, you remember her. Her name is Cinnabelle. How could you forget?
Or an S.
It's an S. It's Sin, A, and then Bell with an E at the end, right? It's Cinnabelle.
Nice.
Now, I don't know if she is the High Priestess. I don't think she's top rung, but she's definitely... She's, like, within the council. You know what I mean? I don't think this religion has a High Priestess. Because it's not as important. If it were at equal standing of the other one, it probably would be. But you know, the High Priestess is meant to have the position of ruling entire religion in the Underrealm. But she's definitely she's very high ranked, and also kind of interesting that she takes some degree of care upon the individuals as a high ranked priestess. That's not what high ranked priestesses usually do. Although the Serpent Church is different, right? It's literally their intent. Yeah, her name is Cinnabelle.
I see what you're putting down there, Ollie. Don't worry explaining anymore. Just write me a list, give me some pictures. I'll do it again. Assassination.
Maybe. Yeah. Cinnabelle will eventually release the hug, although, like, the end of her tail will still be, like, wrapped around your thighs or so, right? Just okay, I'm still here. We're still talking. I imagine you didn't come back just to be gawked at by the others.
No, indeed. I returned to complete a somewhat diplomatic task on behalf of Oshun. There are some things that we can be getting on with, my small band and I, and one of them included some terrible diminishment of some kind of the spiderkin in the lower levels. In the caves.
Oh, yes. I do recall hearing about this. Yes, there was a large number of spiderkin that moved into the city after chaos started.
Indeed.
Disappeared just as quickly.
Do you know if they went back into their burrows?
I suppose if the greatest mind in the Underrealm has some questions about it, they probably didn't just disappear into the forest as they always did. Here's the thing about our spidery sisters. They're never quite exactly welcome. I wouldn't turn one away if one walked into this church, but they would have a hard time walking here if you understood what I mean. Now, I hardly think they were chased out. But why did they come here? Why in such large numbers? Why did they leave? I admit, that's a curious puzzle. Very interesting. She will, like, I'm playing with this. She will be playing with a, like a cigarette holder.
Oh.
And she'll be, like,
Is there, like,
arranging
a
this.
gem on the end that's, like, burning, like the stuff you were talking about?
I don't think she'd be blazing aether dust right here in front of you.
She can blaze it in front
But
of her.
it's definitely
Cool.
it's more akin to weed than tobacco. Whatever she's smoking, it's very much it's like a combination of a pipe and a cigarette holder. Yeah, should be sort of setting that up and smoking that, and a little bit of green fire will kind of light. It'll light in like a little orb that floats around her, and then poof, into the end of the holder, and then she'll blaze up.
Well, I hope to answer all of your questions once we've completed our little sojourn.
I would definitely be curious. While the serpent goddess does not explicitly outreach an arm to the spiderkin, they are birthed. Well, we are all birthed of Ivrith. In one way or another. Be it by the strands of fate slowly tightening. Or she kind of like just looks down pointedly at your big pregnant belly.
I think Oshun would say, well, I've always thought that we did a bit of uniting of Ivrith ourselves, in some way.
Well, if you ever need to unite some more, my chambers can be open.
Nice.
Always so good to see a welcome face, Cinnabelle.
Well,
And
you're on the job.
congratulations. You seem to be doing very well in the order.
Yes. Perhaps in time, Commander Cato will be very serious about... Well, there's more need for our order than ever. After such chaos, there's going to be a baby boom. It's going to be glorious in a year or two. So many bouncing little... She gets excited.
So many eggs to eat.
I do so enjoy eating the tastiest of mine young.
Sometimes you gotta eat a baby. You know, if Riz says you eat a baby, you're gonna eat that baby and you're gonna enjoy it.
Quote that. Sometimes you just gotta eat a baby.
It might already be on there, TBA.
Yeah, it might. It's not. I'm not ruling it out.
Cinnabelle will say her goodbyes.
Yeah, I think they would like do that thing where they hold hands and like extend.
Yeah.
They're like parting, and Oshun will part and say, well, my path still, Ivrith takes me on my road. For now.
She will slither away, and you see, like, as you're leaving, that she goes to just talk to a bunch of other unascended priestesses, most likely relaying you and your presence. And yeah, this is kind of, it's a weird one, right? Oshun was a little
Oshun's gonna tap that.
Hell yeah! Oshun was a little bit more, you know, you were always someone who kind of saw both sides, but you were more leaned towards the previous church. Now, just at who you are right now as a kind of beacon of peace, just your existence is more aligned to this one. It's curious, huh? You can go to...
Ivrith moves in mysterious ways. I just punched my own glasses.
Mysterious ways! So, here's a question. You mentioned a tavern in the lower levels. Did you want one below the factories? Because below this are factories. Do you want one below the factories, nearer where you think the Spiderkin were? In, like, the lower class area. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought.
Quiet and, people have conversations on stoops and stuff.
Yeah! Okay, so this means you get the little bit of joy of walking down into the lower districts, taking long stairwells, decorated by statues and things, passing a lot of pipes oozing sludge from both the factory district and the farm district. For the farm district is not a district of farmland, it's a farm factory, TBH. As you're going past it, you see windows that glow a luminescent green, bubbling with what is growing inside it. There is a large population to Narashiro, and not enough farmland to go around. The core food stuff is farmed in this toxic algae sludge, and
It's
wherever
got two archers, two gold archers.
it's just McDonald's. But yeah, honestly, and that factory is, you know, kind of unpleasant places to pass around. But you can get into the lower districts, the lowest part of the city that is really efficiently supported by the city. This is an area where it's much more built into the stone, right? Everything else has been built up. This is built into the stone, it's carved in. There is always a layer of decor, but everything is very, very dense, tightly packed apartments hanging from structures with elevated walkways that stagger between it. The people are largely pleasant and, you know, well, they'll get out of the way of a giant pregnant woman. Hell yeah. A lot of awkward, worn stairwells and things, and not a lot of the Aether light.
No, after you. After you. After you. I
Yeah.
exist.
Not a lot of light
And,
gets
like,
down
you
here.
creep past and they like fall off the edge of the
Whoa! They fall off the into just a pit. Vertical cities. It's very different to the rest of Narashiro. But yeah, it's the kind of place that Oshun kind of enjoys, I think. You would be able to visit a large-ish tavern here. The stable they have for the beetle is not really very good. You might not want to keep your beetle here. This isn't a place where merchants to and fro. It doesn't have the arrangement for creatures of this size.
Roll to secret him under my bed.
He is the size of an elephant.
Big
So
bad.
am I.
This tavern is kind of like a little tower. It's like they've knocked down the walls in basically an apartment complex and made it a much larger space. And when you get in here, you know, Tumulus and Eshal can already have sorted out rooms. It is quiet. It's a quiet place. This is more the sort of place where people visit after working a long times in either the factories or the farm factories. And it also means it's a tired place. Right, the people here are hard-worked, and they're tired. But kind of a little less downtrodden than they were the last few times you were here. A little more relaxed. How many rooms do you want to buy?
Are they safe in Oshun's presence, or are they safe? Do you feel comfortable?
Tumulus and Eshal wouldn't have been given much trouble. Ebomari are quite common in Narashiro nowadays. There definitely would have been, like, the people here trying to start conversations, which neither of them want to have, because they're like, oh, what are you doing down here? What's going on?
They know the Ebomari language, and they just want to test it out on him.
Yeah, I think, and given that there isn't as much hostility here, and it is a quiet place, Ashal probably feels more comfortable here than in Ebimaro, so would probably want their own room.
Excellent. Rooms here will be 2 silver each. They're not very big. So if Oshun wants a room, there might be a problem, because you would get the rooms for both Tumulus and Eshal, and you'd be shown to them, and they're basically little, you know, you open a door and there's just a carved hole in the side and like a bed, right? And you just crawl in and you just nestle in, and there's like a little lamp and all that sort of stuff, but yeah, which I think both Tumulus and Eshal will kind of enjoy, a nice little place to swiggle into.
Yeah.
Oshun, though, if you want a room, they'll have to be like, oh, blimey, my lady, you are rather bountiful. We will have to arrange something, but for 5 silver, we could definitely, well, you could have the honeymoon suite, I suppose.
Thank you so much. I do appreciate it.
The honeymoon
I
suite.
understand my bounty can be quite inconvenient.
We simply do not meet individuals of your height so often. I know that sometimes those who grow up in the high city can grow a little taller than they do down here, but I didn't know it would be to this extent.
Do not worry, my child. You are not alone in your discombobulation.
The room you get would be larger. Really, like, this used to be apartments, and that was just an apartment. Basically a suite to yourself. Not very decorated, but, you know, there's a little chest, and it's actually the kind of place you could probably be comfortable in for quite a while. It also has a window. I think this is the kind of tavern where there is one bath that you have to kind of be like, I want to use the bath. I want to use the bath today.
I don't know, like, are there hot spring type things in
Well,
Narashiro?
Oh, if you ask, yeah, there would be.
Bathhouses in Narashiro.
Yeah, if you ask. So the bartender here is a very bedraggled usurper elf woman. Hair is all like frizzled and frayed, and seemingly her children who are helping her run the place, who are like, they're probably only 20 years old or so. You know, they're young. And be like, oh, there is an excellent hot spring not too far from here. I can show you the directions. It doesn't have the amenities that some of the hot springs in the higher cities might have, my lady, and I do definitely apologize for that, but the water is warm and it is clean.
That is all I could wish for. That sounds wonderful. I will just check and see if my companions do not want to sample Narashiro's hot springs.
Would you be liking a meal when you return, my lady?
Not you, Toilet. You just go, ah.
He just becomes like a film on top of the water.
He just
keep
bloats.
you in a jar.
Swells up like a balloon. Would you like to order a meal for when you get back? It'll be, for all 3 of you, 2 silver.
Can I feed here?
Ooh, they definitely don't have brain. Yeah, that's a good point. Ashal don't eat regular food, so in which case it's just 1 silver.
Boba.
You could eat your boba, or you could try and ask for a sip on someone.
I was actually going to. This is a relatively poor area.
Yes,
correct?
this is the poor area. Although there are poorer areas, the bog slums below are.
The Shell's gonna be like, give me a sip and I'll pay you.
That's literally.
yeah.
Are there beggars about?
Yeah.
Ashar will go to a beggar and will say, if you allow me a sip of your memories, I will pay 2 gold.
They're not going to turn down 2 gold.
I thought.
This is where he accidentally gets too into the sipping, and before you know it, oh, oops.
Yep. You on
Yes,
one
I'll
of the.
just keep that 2 gold.
As Oshun said, you know, can have a conversation on a stoop with a beggar and agree to trade some memories. 2 gold they'll take happily, and might not even remember exactly why they have it in the morning, but
Did you do it? You didn't like.
No, just a
I can
sip.
sip.
Just a psionic sip of some memories.
Oh, Oh, it's a
No,
specific
yes.
difficult
If it's specific memories, it's difficult. Just taking a sip from someone is not too bad.
Yeah,
they just have to be
their
people who don't
shoulders.
really care about losing their memories, which in the Underrealm is a
Exactly.
lot of people.
Yeah.
Okay. The hot springs would
Well,
be a...
do you want to go? Do you want to stay in nursery?
Ashal does not want to go to the hot
Yeah,
springs.
but can I drag you there? Because I want to see Ashal go become a little jellyfish. Doing,
It
like
is...
he enjoys it so much. He just goes like he has no bones. He's just like
It is dry here.
It is.
There's no
And
soil, it's all stone.
I think if Oshun is relatively insistent about it, then Ashal, still probably feling guilty over things, would probably agree.
That's the best way to get a spa date, is guilt. The hot springs seem here are very much a communally owned one.
and there'll be a cold one, right? Because you can dip in like different ones, and there's a cold one for Tumulus.
I don't think here there would be a cold one. Just you know, that's the kind of thing. If you go to a proper hot spring house somewhere else in the city, this is just a place where the water bubbles up and it's hot. And it's also the place where people get their clean drinking water. So there's one for drinking water and there's one for
You can just get in
soaking
the
bod.
drinking
You could.
water. Kill them all.
You could bathe in the drinking water, I suppose, if you wish. But there is very much a communal hot springs that all the like it's where like all the poor old folks are hanging out. You know what I mean? Well, as old as a usurper elf gets. There's some frayed hairs, but no one who's fading too far yet. You never see an elderly usurper elf for some reason. Curious.
Funny that. Actually, that's an interesting question. If usurper elves or if elves fade partially because of loss, if a Ebimari feeds on their memories and feels that sense of loss, can they avoid it?
Yes.
That's interesting.
That is why there is a huge booming business after the Treaty of the Deep of very talented Ebimari moving to Narashiro and removing people's traumatic memories. It is a thing in the High City.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
I
Yeah.
thought you were going to say that everyone like was mourning someone or something because of that war, and so Narashiro had a Japanese-esque aging population like problem, and we're trying to encourage this boom. This baby boom.
No, for some reason you just never see old folks. Though the people here who hang out in the hot springs are definitely, you know, middle-aged. They're people who have seen a long time, but admittedly, a long time for usurper elves is only 400 years as opposed to, you know, people on the surface who live longer. A lot harder life down here. But you can get in the hot springs, probably stark nakers. Imagining Oshun. I'm not imagining Oshun naked. Just, she's definitely gonna bear all getting in the hot springs.
Yeah, I was just thinking about her, like, you can see like the extra legs now against her
Yeah.
back and her neck and her arms. And
She
stuff.
wouldn't take off the
But she
veils.
keeps the mask on. Yeah, she keeps the veil.
Awesome. You can stretch out the spider legs you have on your back and just
I
get
don't
some
want to scare anybody.
get some hot water in them. And you know what?
And the legs just go splash, splash.
Yeah. For Oshun, this is definitely a very good experience. You know, a good soak in hot water. Sure, this isn't a hot spring that you would enjoy up there as a priestess. No, because there's no servants willing to massage your back as you soak, or maybe do other things depending on your needs. But
Your memories.
yeah. Hey, let's be honest. The right talent, an Ebimari would make a great masseuse. And would definitely be something you could order special in a specific type of bathhouse. But like, just because you've been on the road, it's winter, just a good soak in the steamy hot springs. And this is really just like, it's a crater where water is, you know, and it's just steaming.
Big enough for her.
Big enough for her. Oh yeah, it's a pool. Yeah.
It's a pool, so she's like, this is my size of tub.
Yeah, exactly. And there are a couple of other people around. Some people leave as you approach, but some people just keep on soaking, having their little wash or relax, right? And there's a little bit of space where people sort of sitting. This is a place where a lot of people like exercise, a bit like a Greek or Roman bathhouse as well. It's kind of a bathhouse gym, but of course, most of the people who live...
Those like oil scrapey bits.
Yes, though, again, in the higher city, that would be something that people would do for you. Here, you have to bring someone to do for you. Look, it's a Usurper Elf bathhouse. People getting fucked. One way or another. People are fucking. They're not here, TBH. Not in the working man's bathhouse. Too many other things to worry about.
Where have we gone?
Look, we went where we always knew we would be. Yeah, Narashiro. You want a not horny campaign? Don't go to Narashiro. What are you talking about?
No, there will always be a horny campaign. Speaking of which, not horny, but just enthusiastic. Do you want to try some of these oils?
Yes, that's a question. Ashal, do you actually join her in the bath?
Come on this pod.
Because you know, just the steam would be pleasant, probably.
Yeah, I feel like this is an interesting one. I feel like it would almost be weirdly uncomfortable to be properly like submerged in water. It would almost, I don't know.
Depends on who you are as an Ebamari. You are like an aquatic creature.
Yeah.
And also you have like old
The
bones.
idea of the little tentacles becoming a bit more translucent with like happiness, just like.
I think as
Depends
Charlotte
on which race you bonded with. Because the dwarf bones are so heavy, they pull down, and your Ebamari brain goes float.
Yeah. I think some individuals are very into it, some don't.
I think as Charles specifically, I think this is one of those things that if ever they were convinced to get in, as Charles would probably enjoy it because of the link to storms and water and
That's
such
right,
like.
actually.
But precisely because of that link and their dislike of it, Ashal would not want to get in the water.
That's something that you just reminded me of when you mentioned links. Do you passively get Oshun's feeling of like nice hot relaxation?
Oh, he hasn't been connected to you for a week
No,
or so.
not unless I consciously connect. Because as Charles mostly keeps their... Most of the time, unless you have specifically asked them to, the only time as Charlotte expands the brain link a bit is when in combat. That's the sort of expansion thing.
I'll give you. Can we do a contested roll? I want to convince you.
No, you can't convince me of that using a roll.
This is something you're gonna have to keep working on, I think.
Okay.
This time, as much as it looks very pleasant to join Oshun in the bath, I don't think Ashal would.
Although, I mean, the fact that you got Ashal into the bathhouse is an improvement on what
Step
you would have
one,
managed.
right? Step one.
Yeah. You can just stand there and be like, steam.
That's pretty much what Ashal is like. Probably even like still floating, just like move. Like people who stand sway. I imagine someone who floats just drifts slightly.
Yeah.
Just
absolutely.
slowly.
So cute. That's so cute.
It takes I imagine it takes a very conscious effort with an Ebamari's passive levitation to stay completely still, and would be kind of a sign of mental fortitude that you can just stay completely still. But who gives a shit right now? You're in a bathhouse. You can drift. Until maybe you realize you're drifting and you're like, oh, you know.
And then gradually, it's like someone falling asleep and then waking up.
That's so cute.
Eventually you'll get back to the tavern. There is a meal prepared for you, which really is only really for Oshun, although Tomius might eat more. And it is pretty much primarily convu. I mentioned that, yeah, there's a large population and it's pretty much got to be fed by these toxic factories. What they're producing is convu. It's a long tentacle of algae that's grown in these massive, massive batches that is basically been genetically engineered to be all the nutrients you need in a very small amount. It's not the most pleasant thing to eat. It's like eating, like waterlogged tofu, right? Yeah, some people really enjoy it. Rakath, for one, was one who's like, slimy. But, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I know it's good for me, and I know other people would need to eat it, so you'll eat it. And to be fair, it has been prepared. It's been prepared into a kind of like curry-ish broth. That's why you've got a big bowl, because it's like you share it amongst each other, and so you can have as much as you want. And it would have a little bit of other things in as well, little bits of mushrooms, and maybe maybe at some point in the last week there was some meat in the pot that they've been brewing this in. But there isn't really right now.
You saw a bit of meat in the
distance. But the population down here mostly just eats convu mass-produced by the people above. They mostly spend their lives making it too. It's so the fact that they've managed to make something semi-pleasant from it is whatever. But also, it's a warm meal after a warm soak.
Oshun is very happy.
Exactly. There would be alcoholic beverages available as well, for those who are interested. Probably it would just be very, very weak wine, I think. I don't know if they would have a kind of ale here. It would just be very weak wine, made of whatever they can make it out of. Okay. No alcohol in the party when they're staying at the tavern. Good to know.
I think if anyone were to drink something, then obviously Oshun would have like a cup of tea or herbal.
Oh yeah, you can have tea here. Yeah, absolutely.
Then alcohol.
Nah, last time Tumulus drank alcohol out of like politeness. So I think if no one's drinking anything, no one's drinking anything. And is there anything you want to do before you guys rest up for the night? Because you got your rooms ready. You probably moved some of your stuff up to the rooms. Your beetle isn't really stabled. Your beetle is just outside. There's like the staff are looking after it. Like one of the sons of the barmaid is like sitting out there with it.
Tomorrow we definitely need to get. I imagine there's a relatively good and relatively cheap stable like near one of the entrances to the city.
Yeah, there always are. It's. Yeah, this just
like you can be watched.
I'll throw him some cornbread. I'm gonna soak some of the weird broths with some of my cornbread. Oshun
much nicer.
Very happy.
Much nicer. Okay, bedtimes.
Fill all the corners.
Oshun, can you give me a wisdom check?
Uh-oh. Assassination.
Ate too much.
Uh-oh, I got the rumble and tumblers.
Did I press? Yes, I did.
Oh dear.
You have vaguely unpleasant dreams this night.
What? I have a 20 here.
The dice.
No, you haven't scrolled down. You've got a 6.
Oh my god.
Now, of course, as a Drider, you meditate rather than truly sleep, and in life, a Usurper Elf dreams memories, or elves in general, and they have very little control over it unless they choose to control it. Ascended don't really get to dream their memories anymore. You dream glimpses of whatever you saw when you ascended, and everyone sees something a little different. But they're even more, well, tumultuous while you're down here, closer to the belly of the beast. You're not really given the peace.
That's the beast.
That's the beast. Yeah, that's it. There you go. There's the beast. But you would still be able to rest, right? This place, despite being, not having the amenities of every other tavern, it's a safe place. It's a remarkably safe place, actually. All of you would be able to have a very safe sleep, be able to have a little bit of... It's the same broth for breakfast if you want it. You're running out of that cornbread.
Oh, that makes more.
With what army? Rested up in the tavern, what would you guys like to do today?
Stable beetle properly.
Let's stable beetle.
Yeah, that won't be hard to do. You can go to one of the stables on the edge of the city. Guess what? It's 5 silver a day to stable your beetle for a day. It's going right.
Should we pay for like 2 weeks up front just to be safe?
I don't know if you want to, if you're looking to stay here for 2 weeks.
We're
but
not
a week at
taking the
least.
beetle into the caverns with us.
There's not really much purpose. The stairwells are not designed for beetles.
Beetles aren't designed for stairwells.
And we don't know what we'd find down there. We don't want the beetle getting eaten or something horrible.
As a large-sized creature, Oshun, you can squeeze through passageways designed for a regular usurper elf. A beetle can squeeze through a passage designed for you. This part of the city is not designed for beetles to travel, aside from maybe routes between shops. You know what I mean?
Let's pay for a week then, rather than 2.
Yeah, we can
just
tell
in
them
case.
that this is half, and if we need another week, we'll pay when we get back.
Oh,
the
for
second
sure,
half
yeah.
up front.
Okay, so 5 times 7 is...
3.5. In this case.
In this case, yes. Awesome. You can get that stocked up. And actually, while you go into the stables, like I said, by the stables, there's always a merchant area, right? There's always a merchant area. And right by the merchant area is a lot of music. There's someone playing some songs, and beside them... who's they're clearly not affiliated, but someone who is taking advantage of the crowd is doing a little auction. They are actually a gnome. They are clearly a gnome of Gokhan. You recognize the colors and the outfit from Chance. And they are selling something. They have floating beside them a crystal. It's a red crystal, like a ruby. And like, come on, come all! Genuine Ithriti soul, contrained, contrapped. All of the enchanting magic has already been prepared. All you need to do is just make this purchase. It's a steal. You absolutely wouldn't believe it. Anyone interested in this? Just going to be starting the bidding at 3 gold. 3 gold over here. 3 gold over there. 3 gold. Anyone? Yep. Over there. 4 gold. Excellent. And he's doing a little mercantile thing for this.
Oshun would go, oh, the music, and he kind of reminds me of Chance.
Is that truly a soul?
He's talking very quickly amongst the crowd of people who've gathered. It's like, if you have any sort of doubts, then you should throw them out of the nearest window, which is over there. If you are curious, this is absolutely, of course, a genuine Ithriti soul trapped in front of me by a flame mage. Oh yeah, of course he's talking fucking shit. He's a Gokhan gnome doing a scheme.
Just thought I'd double check.
The crystal looks magical. It really does. It looks like there's something inside it. You know, it's kind of glowy. The crystal does look magical. But he's got an angle. He's full of shit.
Okay.
But the crowd is buying it, but also it's a very low price for a crystal in general, right?
How much is the bidding at the moment?
So it's probably around 5 gold right now. People are adding like silvers and stuff.
Can Oshun share a look with you, even though she's wearing a mask? Just
10 gold.
10 gold over there for the squid face of a pension for brains. 10 gold. Is anyone interested in going higher than 10 gold? 10 gold, 10 gold. Excellent, my friend. Sold, sold, and sold. If you would just come over here and you would sign this contract saying that you have bought this fair and square.
Ashal is examining this contract very precisely.
Give me an intelligence check.
Oh, yes!
So the contract is a bit of fun. It's very much makes sense to be a Gokhan gnome in that the contract explicitly states you are buying the item as it was described during the auction, not necessarily what the item actually is. And if there is any discrepancy between the two things, you cannot seek any kind of punishment on the individual.
As Charles, like, the equivalent of a smirk, like tentacles and tentacles on the sides will raise slightly, and they will sign the contract, and at the same time just say to him, "It is a good thing I was not hoping to buy this for what you were describing."
The gnome has a bit of a like it's a permanent smile, and it does kind of like drop for a moment. It's like, of course, you're buying it for the joy of taking part of an auction. If you would enjoy this, sir, and he would hand it to you. The like kind of and he would do like a very flourishing bow. As he does, there's like a whoosh of like kind of colorful magic. And he will kind of pat down his things and start... By now the crowd has, of course, dispersed. And he'll start going back to organizing the next hustle, more or less.
So what was it? It was a red crystal, correct?
It's a red crystal. When this guy has gone around 30 feet away, the glowing from inside stops. And it is...
Of course it does.
More or less just a red piece of shiny stone. Not even like a ruby or anything. But you never know.
Ian's list is a million items long.
That's fair. I've got a red ruby-like gem of some description. Red crystal.
Can
something.
I ask him where he obtained this thing? Can I be like...
It's an exciting story. I was exploring a tomb, as I often do, with a good friend of mine, a pyromancer, and a creature of flame
All right,
roared.
my son. You can tell me the truth. I don't mind. I just want to hear it from you.
You can give me a persuasion check. It just you know, bought it back home. Couple of bob, made a nice tasty profit on that, courtesy of your friend.
Does it contain any properties we should know about, just for safety? You understand?
I believe this is just a stone, albeit a pretty one.
Well, I believe you're satisfied. Thank you very much.
I'll give a nod and then very quickly hurry away now that you've really had to talk to him.
I don't like revealing my true self.
Yeah, very much. Very much.
Preying upon the poorest. A bad little creature.
Well, everyone does something for a reason. We can't know what their reason might be.
Call me foolish, but I somehow felt that was important.
No.
It's not
Foolish?
like I am going to spend that money on much else.
You perhaps saved one of these poor people from spending their life savings on a crystal. Though something tells me there might have been a more surefire way to fix that problem.
I can imagine a scenario where our good friend encounters some discouragement one night down a... No, I'm just describing Batman. Tom Eustace is like, you swear to me!
Where is she?
Where is she? Where is Rachel?
Tumulus has got the voice phrase all set.
But then Tubulus's hand falls off.
There has been zombie Batman. That is like canon. Or is it vampire Batman I'm thinking about? There's probably both.
Are you thinking about the Batman who laughs?
Visually, I am thinking about a Batman who laughs, who does look a bit like Tumulus.
Vampire Batman is just Dracula, guys.
Oh no! I actually memories fusing back. There is a movie, an animated movie called The Batman vs. Dracula, and it's fucking badass. Dracula turns the Penguin into a vampire during it.
Oh my god.
Which makes total fucking sense, TBH. Anyway.
Does he drink the blood with his nose? Like...
No... But...
Then he would be called the Mosquito.
That is literally... You're describing Darkest Dungeon. The vampires in Darkest Dungeon have mosquito features. What's next? Party? Beetle secured? Auction success?
A charlatan.
As you should.
We go back down and start asking around, I guess.
The gnome would travel between here and the Gokhan compound. Perhaps he would have noticed any spiderkin movements. First, we must ascertain they have not been leaving the city before searching the city for them. Yes.
I felt inclined to investigate at least at the beginning of the tunnels where they used to be situated. I did encounter one or two when I was in my ascension, isolated, communing with what my god wanted to speak to me about. But
do you know the way to the tunnels?
Absolutely, yes. I enjoy exploring the tunnels much more than I enjoy the bright religious quarters.
I also enjoy bright religious places.
Right. Let's find our gnome man.
Are you finding the gnome or the tunnels?
We're asking if we're doing Tubulus's plan first.
Okay.
While we're in the city.
Good point. While he's nearby. He's gone.
Oshun uses all of her legs.
You'll need to do a perception or investigation check to see where this guy went. He scurried away with the...
I'm tall.
You're tall, he's small.
Damn.
Area's crowded.
My one weakness.
So, survival, perception and investigation if you're looking for him.
I will assist.
Okay, so you'll have advantage, Oshun. On whichever one you wish to do.
And then I'm gonna slap his little gnome body.
When you
Oh,
dodge.
thank God.
19's good! You actually get to him as he's going to the stables you were just at. He has...
Excuse me?
He has a... He has a Velociraptor. That has like a little saddle on it and little saddlebags. And he's arranging it. And he's like, oh, piss. Yes! How can I continue to assist you as you continue to seek me out? If I didn't know any better, I thought you might have a crush on me.
Crush may well be happening.
My friend had an inquiry for you.
Seeing as my friend here was so kind, I ran out of water, as to buy your product and not eat your brain, perhaps you could share a little bit of knowledge. Nothing dangerous. I understand spiderkin have been going missing of late. Perhaps you have seen them traveling out of the city.
In your journeys to and from your main camp.
I don't know what a spider king is. Kind of, I don't know what that is.
It looks like a spider.
They are stood upright, spider features, mandibles.
I haven't seen anyone with mandibles.
No, yeah.
Oshun will just make sure that her mask is smoothed. Indeed. Oh, well,
I don't know who you think I'm hanging out with. I'm a legitimate businessman about what you try to say I am.
Well, they came up to the city about a few years ago and have since, seemingly departed, but we just want to ascertain that everything is above the board, as you understand.
Hey, look, people go missing in this city all the time. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Wink, wink. He can't wink either. Neither me nor him. Look, if these spider peeps got on the wrong side of the wrong person, they could have just, I don't know. I don't know. Not seen anyone, no. Not seen anyone who sounds like that.
Your time, and if it's not too impertinent to make a suggestion, might I suggest that you take your legitimate business to one of the upper levels where the denizens might be able to better afford your fabulous wares.
I promise to use the gold you have given me to become an honest man.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm not suggesting that you completely about face. I'm just suggesting that your pool be less dependent on the service you're providing, if you understand me.
Eat
Someone
the
who's
rich.
Eat the rich. Eat the rich.
Okay, if I can get past the guards higher in the city. Come on, he'll ruffle the feathers on the top of his velociraptor's head and hop up onto it, and yeah, and he'll
Clever girl.
and he'll head out.
I couldn't resist that. You put a velociraptor in front of me.
I have learned your weakness. With him giving you not much information at all, what would you like to do next?
Any other ideas?
Let's go. Check your holes.
Well,
No.
you got to regularly to stay healthy.
That's true.
We ask for beggars in the lower levels. They will spill much for coin and have no vested interest in hiding it.
However, much like torture, coin can often lead to you getting the answer you expect to get. I do not think it's a bad idea, but I feel that we can investigate the tunnels perhaps and see if there's any recent signs.
I do not see how they will know what answer we expect when we do not know what answer to expect.
If we request, have you seen any spiderkin? They look like this. We will pay you for your answer. They may be inclined to give us what they think that we want.
see your point. In that case, we combine it with the fact I can eat their brain and extract the information that way.
Well, I'm not sure coercion is necessarily, though I did just coerce that gnome.
To the tunnels then?
Both are good.
Awesome. Now that Neil's got water so he can keep doing Tumulus's voice, we can head down to the tunnels where, like I said, this lower class district is dug into the ground, and in some places they've dug out large areas for more buildings, but not so many people have really been living here. The areas where people don't so much live, where either the buildings have been abandoned or worn over time, and it's the perfect place to ask beggars for all sort of information. It's almost a maze that you can very much easily get lost in. Luckily, Oshun does know about these parts quite well. You do see some beggars and maybe start asking some questions, but you actually see a familiar face when you come across a very large tunnel that has a couple of stalagmites and stalactites that kind of connect together, and some stuff that's been like dumped down here by like businesses up above, like old furniture and things.
It's got a sign that says no illegal dumping. And
yeah, that's kind of the vibe.
This is Japan.
Yeah, it's kind of the vibe. That is 100% the vibe though, and where maybe some people have used some of the things that were illegally dumped here to make like little nests and stuff in little private areas beforehand. Very much the place a homeless community would spend time, but currently isn't, which is curious. But you do see a familiar face. A Usurper Elf samurai with long box-braided hair that kind of trails down her face, and very tired eyes. She is leaning on her scythe and does notice the group of you approach, and straightens up slightly, making some of their armor clank together.
Is that my Ronin?
Is that what Oshun says?
Yes.
I am quite surprised to see you again, kind lady, in such a place.
Seems that our paths have crossed once more.
That would be correct. I imagine you're here for the same reason as I. Maybe not the same purpose, but the same reason.
Not just to take in the hot springs of Narashiro, then.
Such things don't give me much pleasure.
No, but I can see that a job well done, certainly.
She gets very distracted, staring at Tumulus, who she didn't meet last time. And, like, she has very heavily hooded eyes and, like, bags and things. Like, she's not like, oh! Like, her staring is not very... It's not like her expression changes. She just doesn't look away. She doesn't, like, blink either. Just staring at Tumulus.
Tumulus doesn't need to blink either, fool.
Staring contest?
You've engaged me now!
Well, if you share your task, maybe we can share our information and our task, and stop playing with your cat. Stop
She's
it.
the most adorable thing in the
Do me a
planet.
favor, squish him. No, more sideways, yes. No!
You walk with the
Not
dead.
good for this quality content.
Oh, he's like, I'm trying for some
I'm trying to stay in character as this depressed Ronin, who's very sleepy. You walk with the dead, my lady. Not something
Yes,
you're
I
kind of
noticed.
known for.
Well,
I am deadless.
courteous and most useful and brave has our Tumulus been. Certainly, I'm becoming more and more Frodo.
You have been listening to Lord of the Rings.
A lot. Certainly gotten us out of some tight situations, much like you did before, which I haven't yet to thank you for. I could pay for a drink, or...
I did not do what I did to assist you. It is, of course, a happy coincidence to assist someone such as yourself, my lady, but the dead and their souls are of a great curiosity to me. And those dead who have lost them are dangerous. I was doing a service to anyone who would walk upon that road. This one clearly has a soul. What that means is a question. A question I will find the answer to. In time. I never asked your name when we met before, my lady.
And nor I yours. I'm Oshun.
My name is Drea.
Drea. Not Freya. Freaking notes. Well, it's wonderful to officially meet you, Drea.
How the weaves. Curious. I didn't think that I would be seeing you again.
The loom of Ivrith does move rapidly.
You are here looking for the spider-kin who left, I imagine. I too.
Curious, sir. Fantastic. I do love when these sorts of things just come together. It reaffirms for me the path.
I'm glad you find faith in it. I am not so lucky. I am here before, as I feel, ill intent. My path as a samurai is that ponders on death and the soul and transference and the power of it. I am here because these spiderkin are surely dead. Perhaps not, admittedly, but perhaps.
Well, Drea, I do not think I can inspire faith in you, as your path is clearly your own. But I hope that you may see me as the role I was given by Lady Ivrith. Perhaps I can be to you as a talisman to find your way as you explore these places of death. I am very connected to death and to life, as Lady Ivrith has fashioned me to be.
There's like the echo of a smile on her face. Maybe a slight twinkle in her eyes. And she will...
Oh, she's got it with all the ladies.
Yeah. She will adjust her scythe and put it on her back and like stretch a little and stand up a bit straighter, and she will motion. The people here left a long time ago. Not in one group, in clutches. Led away by something. The people here saw nothing, which on its own is a curiosity. some samurai of my order are able to silent their footfalls. Silent the footfalls of a large group. It would have taken a long time for the amount of Spiderkin who lived here to leave, and no one saw anything at any time. Admittedly, the people above were not looking. There was riots. The perfect time to steal away anyone or anything. I don't think the elves of this city will have the answers that you and I seek. I think the elves outside of it may.
Oshun would be like rubbing the small of her back and sort of just adjusting her stance as they've been like standing for a while. Feet probably got fat. Then
What could convince these creatures to go to their deaths willingly?
I do not know they go to their deaths. I merely feel the hanging malaise of shadow on this place, no matter how bright Lady Oshun may dazzle. She says with no smile on her face, you know.
you suggest that we do not delve into the tunnels from whence the Spiderkin came, but to go outside of the city.
You and your compatriots may have keener eyes than myself.
But you have the keener blade, I dare say. Can I not convince you to come with us, just for a little while?
Perhaps. There are elves who live within the forest who do not follow the paths that we follow. They might know. If something were to enter this city in secret, they might know more than the people who live here.
Curious. We encountered something on the road. An unknown kind of elf. And a companion. Perhaps it is just recent events. And not the true tapestry. Could you describe these?
If they wanted to be described, I imagine we would both know their visage quite well. They don't want to be known by us. Even us who live on the fringes of Narashiro society.
They were similar. The body is not different. Their attire and air was.
The air of someone can carry many things.
Sorry.
She doesn't fart. She's a beautiful dark elf. That would be my recommendation. Perhaps I may be able to assist you in some way.
I would like to insight check. Is this person being genuine, or is she trying to throw us off the trail?
Ooh!
Did we get
Give-
to mace murder?
Give me an insight check.
But hot elf.
Oh!
Drea is exceedingly genuine.
Yes.
It is. You're right to question it. It's a huge coincidence that she's at the same place as you, but at the same time, you're also interested in these things for the same reason as her. There's a mystery here, and it's a dour one at that. The thing that you read from her is how she's very uncomfortable to travel with a group, which is why it takes a lot of convincing from Oshun, and she might just disappear at any moment. She's a Ronin. she's been brandished. She's been exiled. Now, Ronin largely are reaccepted in the society of Narashiro again, but she went through that trauma. And also it seems that her samurai path is also one of self-exile to some degree. So yeah, she's not entirely comfortable working with you. She might not join you on the road. She might just be able to help you out a little bit. You don't know, but you can trust the information she's giving you. She has no reason to lie. For the reason being, you know that Oshun would tell her if you found something. And she knows that too.
As Charles definitely sympathises with the not liking to be part of a group thing.
Oshun is weaving all these loose threads together. Wait, that's my other character.
With some threads starting to be weaved, I think it's a great place for you to end off today.
Oh, thank God, my voice couldn't hold up to it.
Mine neither. I didn't even do any raspy ones, but I'm still running out.
It's like Tumulus actually ended up speaking quite a lot all towards the end.
Of course. That's that! You'll play more next week. And either next week or maybe the week after, we might even start having the first of our guest visitors. So you may even have not just Drea as a friend in the party for a bit. I'm not giving Drea up. No one's playing Drea. But Neil, do you want to say anything before we leave?
Look how cute my baby is. She's so cute.
Woo!
She's the most adorable little thing.
Bib.
She got the little white bib and little white socks. She's so cute. You can find me on a Wednesday. I play D&D a lot for many hours. You can find me on twitch.tv/Delric, where I play Pathfinder, which is like 5e is not number enough. And 5e, which I play later here, which is like Pathfinder's too complex. And they're both like nerdy step siblings, but there's a lot of sexual tension there, and you know,
I have
we
no,
don't know where that's
I have
gonna
no
go.
sexual tension with Delric, not anymore.
That
That time is the time of him eating a banana every time we stream together. Not even like, I'm not even kidding. This isn't a hyperbole. Every time, and you can either draw attention to it, or you can not draw attention to it. But you can't do both. You can't do both at the same time.
Other than that, there is one other place you can find me. I'm of course talking about my new OnlyFans. No, I'm talking about at least Patreon.
The Hot Springs. Yep, you can find Neil, Ian, and sometimes Zoe on my Patreon for $5 a month. There is an extra show. The show is currently exploring what it's like living on the seas. It's a really, really fun game. If you like,
You see that classic D&D.
it's very classic D&D, but still in Jarviskjir. Every single campaign is connected, even if just with themes or just how magic works. And there's some very interesting stuff going on, while also just being an adventure with a bunch of people on a ghost ship. You know,
Classic D&D, and for anyone, there's probably one person who has spent years shipping me and Neil and has never had.
your characters in that game are part of a pair, right? They're definitely...
They are quite... Yeah.
They are certainly
Also, last
unique.
session, I flirted with Ian for like an hour last session.
Oh.
Non-reciprocal flirting. It's great.
Yeah, it was
I enjoyed
great.
that character,
I knew Ian would have fun with me flirting with him with an obnoxious individual when nothing was going to happen. We all knew what was happening the second he showed up.
The only thing I would say is that campaign has, in particular, that I enjoy at the moment, is we got a couple of newer people in that haven't played D&D so much. Some people that haven't played D&D before. So I think it's really nice if you've never played D&D, like to be like, oh, I can just pick this up and play with people, and people who've played it a lot should be welcoming. Like, the only gatekeeping we do is that you have to be welcoming.
We play D&D in a very specific way, which
True.
causes allergies. You know, the D&D we do here is very roleplay focused, but it still has fun, bouncy combat. So for some people, that's exactly the
Fire
ticket.
Emblem combat.
Fire
I
Emblem.
mean,
It is Fire Emblem
we
combat.
just wrapped up that last campaign, which had like a lot of roleplay, a lot of combat. It was,
Yeah.
really fun.
Are you talking about Phallogem Academy? Because there's also Everhold, which had a lot of... Everhold had some big combats.
I'm still not over the trauma of Everhold.
Yeah, there's a lot of Jarviskjir content.
My characters that die only are the only ones that die are the ones that I don't want to die.
Yeah, that's true. Characters that are like marked for death have retired relatively happy lives. I'll be honest with you, Ian. You don't play Nier anymore. Her life's still shit. But definitely check that out. All of the support is, of course, amazing. You've got a really good time to get into all the shows and stuff because, of course, all of the support you're giving me right now goes into funding Schism, the board game series coming out this year set in the world of Jarviskjir, exploring things that actually have been explored in some of the other campaigns. Zoe is actually the lead writer for that, so if you like Zoe's whatever she's doing here, then definitely read the miniature novels that are going to be coming with every game.
I am quite proud of them.
Oh god.
And great timing.
And fucking
Xylemus, thank you so much for the tier 10 gift subs. I super appreciate it. It helps us do what we like to do and helps us make a series of badass board games. The rest of the week I will be, of course, streaming when I can, and on Fridays I'm on Fable Scraps at 11 PM GMT my time with Warhammer 40k Doomlore. If you like Warhammer 40k, check it out. Like I was telling these guys earlier, there are a lot of skulls. Talking skulls.
40k is a very scully...
It's a very scully setting.
You
At a
could
basic
say
level.
that they are sculling.
At a
What?
at a basic level, aren't we all just talking skulls?
Oh my god, Ian.
Look, not as much as this campaign. There is also that campaign now officially has a heavy flamer as per the meme. So that's pretty good. Definitely check it out. We will see you next week with whatever fares, and there'll be a little thank you to everyone who's supporting us currently on Patreon as well before we go. So see you then, see you next time, and sleep tight, little babies.
Let that be the last thing that you
The last thing you think of.